What is going on, everybody? This is your man, Big B, Brian Hanley. Welcome back to Steelers Almighty. Appreciate everybody being in here, man. We have got a lot going on in Pittsburgh Steeler land right now, ladies and gentlemen. I know it is the off season, but it's March, and because it's March, that means that the rumors are starting to heat up, but some of them are starting to come to fruition. We're starting to see some real stuff and not just make believe what we think and all this kind of stuff. We're starting to get some real information out there because in less than a week, legal tampering opens up in free agency. So we're starting to see some things being talked about. I mean, the combine is way more than just potential rookies working out. It is where agents are there and scouts are obviously there, but reporters are there. A lot of information being passed back and forth. So we found out some stuff, not just me, but everybody found out some things on what's going on with the Steelers. So we're going to cover some of that today. Number one, people are after Pat Freiermuth, ladies and gentlemen. They're after him. 6 teams reportedly are after him, and the Steelers are not budging. So we're going to talk about that. Why the Steelers are looking at quarterback early. Why it's paramount. I think it's important. I've said that all along, and basically I've said it for the last 2 years. This is the 3rd season that I am saying, and a lot of you guys have been right on board with me. Saying you guys have been saying the same thing I've said about the Steelers in the cornerback position. And then also the Steelers are not done with Roman Wilson. That was made very clear by Omar Khan. It almost felt like Omar Khan was pushed or put off that Roman Wilson wasn't getting the run last year, and he didn't come out and say that, but there's some interesting stuff about that. So we're going to discuss all that and more. Appreciate everybody being in here, man. We got some members in here early today. Mr. Christopher, what is going on with you, man? Appreciate you being in here. So, Sam, how you doing, Sam? Appreciate you showing up early this morning. Mr. Cunningham is here. Appreciate you guys, man. B Rhodes, what's happening? What is happening? So thank you guys for getting up this morning. Again, if you want your comment, question, or rant up on the screen, you know how to do that. Super chats are wide open if you want to help support the channel. Members always get their comments and questions up on the screen. So if you want to become a member, you know how to do that. If you want to also help support the channel, I appreciate everybody. Let's get into this a little bit today, people. So first things first is Pat Freiermuth. Teams are after Muth, man. They are trying to get Pat Freiermuth. The report is at least 6 teams have reportedly inquired about trading for tight end Pat Freiermuth. So part of the reason that people are after Freiermuth is because of his usage last year. He was only used in just over 50% of the offensive snaps last year. So teams are after him because they're like, hey, we can use Pat Freiermuth. We'll use him a hell of a lot more than on 50% of the plays. We got a place for Pat Freiermuth. Well, Mike DeFabo of The Athletic reports that the Steelers are telling all suitors that he is not available, which to me, that's a good sign, is that they are saying absolutely no to Pat Freiermuth, is that they're saying, nope, he got a place here. Yeah, he wasn't used a lot last year, but we're going to use Pat Freiermuth this year. I love it because that's the only thing. If you're not going to use him, fine, you can trade him. But if you're not trading him, then clearly you're going to use him because it doesn't make sense to keep a guy, especially that you're paying a guy. If you're going to pay him but not use him, you might as well trade him. So the Steelers are saying no. Now, is that a smoke screen until we get closer to the draft? Or is it a smoke screen because the Steelers haven't gotten what they deem as fair value for Pat Freiermuth? Or is it the third option, what I just said? Steelers plan on using Pat Freiermuth, then he's going to have a bigger role than what he had last year. I would think it's just going to have a bigger role than what he had last year because with Arthur Smith and what Arthur Smith did with that offense was just a miscarriage of justice. I mean, to have all those tight ends and do just an outdated, pathetic offensive formula of what the Pittsburgh Steelers were doing. Just outdated, predictable, just not something that is going to get a lot of usage in today's NFL. It just doesn't carry a lot of weight, man. Got to be better than that. You got a guy, a big time receiving tight end, and we had two of them and didn't use either one of them properly. Which again, you can say what you want about Jonnu Smith. Jonnu just wasn't used right. A lot of people, now granted, I know he dropped the pass here or there, but Jonnu wasn't terrible. I mean, I think he only dropped 2 passes. He just wasn't used correctly. So you got pass catching tight ends and you won't let them do what they do best. What the hell are you doing as an offensive coordinator? So that's the thing about Muth. You know, Torsha has got a good question. Said, would you trade Muth for BTJ? First of all, if that's the offer on the table, then yeah. And BTJ would be Brian Thomas Jr. from the Jacksonville Jaguars. If that's the offer, then absolutely. Because while you can love a tight end, you're telling me you're not going to trade a tight end for a top flight receiver? Of course you would. Of course. But that Jacksonville's not going to make that offer. Now, it may come in a package, but they're not just going to say, well, we'll just trade these 2 guys straight up. You know, if they do, maybe they would. I don't know. And the Steelers can push back a little because they're saying, hey, man, we're paying Muth. You know, we're going to take a salary cap hit. What are you willing to give us? So I don't know. But that would, first of all, that would be, Torsha, if they're offering that, the answer is damn right. Damn right. I take that all day long. All day long. Another good question is, what would compensation be? I feel like even a third would feel too cheap. For Freiermuth? No way. No, I mean, you're not getting more than a third-round pick for Pat Freiermuth. And it isn't because I don't think Pat Freiermuth's any good. Teams aren't going to pay more than a third-round pick for Muth. They're just not going to do that because one of the flaws that Muth has, we got to remember, he's not a good blocker. Has he gotten better? Absolutely. But you got to remember, he was pathetic, he was bad, and now he's not very good. Okay? That's where he has gone from a blocker. Literally from pathetic, bad, and now not very good. So that's still a flaw, but you're not getting a third-round pick for Pat Freiermuth. At least I don't anticipate that. Now, if the Steelers could pull that off, hell yes. Do it in a heartbeat. Do it in a heartbeat. I just don't think you're going to be able to get that. What's going on, Miss Christine? Don't ever apologize for being late. You're just fine. You're just fine. But yeah, if you could get a third round for Muth, the Steelers should say yes before they even finish saying it. Yes, we'll give you. I mean, and it could be a third round, and they could throw in anything, whatever they said. Okay, you can have Pat Freiermuth, or we want Pat Freiermuth. We'll give you a third round pick. Yes. We'll also give you the water boy and a trainer. Okay, fine. We'll take them too. We'll take them too. Yes. And I like Muth. Don't get me wrong. I like Pat Freiermuth. Absolutely. I want Pat Freiermuth on our team. But you're telling me we get a third round pick, which means the Steelers would now have four third round picks? You would have to take one of those and package it up to try to move up into the end of the second round so you could get a second rounder. Because 4 third-round picks, and number one, you'll be able to get you another tight end at that point. Hell, probably 2 because of all the picks that you got. Because remember, the Steelers have 2 fourth-round picks too. So, yeah, I like Muth, but if somebody's offering a third, Muth's got to go. He got to go. You know, and I'm going to look up his contract real quick for Pat Freiermuth. So if they trade him before June 1st, which that's always the special date, the Steelers would have to eat $6.3 million on the salary cap. They'd save 4.9, but they'd have 6.9 in dead money. For a third-round pick, I'd be willing to do that. Yeah. For a third-round pick, I'd be willing to eat that. Because, again, you're going to replace him probably with 2 tight ends in the draft. So, yeah, I'd be willing to do that. I just don't think you're going to be able to get that. Maybe you get a 4th. And at a 4th, I don't know. You'd have to see. We would have to see. Because the one thing I know is that Darnell Washington, while I love him, you need another tight end. Good NFL teams have 2 solid tight ends. The good ones. They have 2 solid guys. Maybe not top of the line, but 2 solid guys. So, 2 solid ones. Todd Hastings says if we get a number 2 wide receiver and hot the middle of the field with Muth, our offense will open up in a big way. The Steelers are going to get a second wide receiver. I don't think that it's anywhere possible. I really don't. I don't think it's possible that the Steelers don't come out of this offseason with a bona fide second receiver, whether that's free agency, whether that's the draft, whatever it is. I think they come away with that. CID says we can get a third rounder for Muth, and then we have to pay for them taking Jonnu. No, you don't. You can pay, you could still get rid of Jonnu, and Jonnu isn't necessarily the problem, people. Jonnu has taken a lot of flack, but Jonnu, in my opinion, he wasn't the issue. It was how Jonnu was being used. It's not his fault that the offensive coordinator was more concerned with getting him carries in the backfield on toss sweeps than they were throwing him the ball over the middle of the field. That's not his fault. You know what I'm saying? So I get that people are down on Jonnu Smith. I 100% understand that. But I just don't think it was his fault. Not in my opinion. I could be wrong, and we can disagree. That's okay. We never agree on everything. I just think Jonnu was just used so bad. Him and Muth were just used so bad last year. It was pathetic. So, now here's a good one. Heckasanti. I think that's what I'm going to call you, man. Heck. I'll just call you Heck. My apologies. He said, I prefer Eli Stowers over Pat Freiermuth, and that's what I'm talking about. But can you get Stowers in the 3rd round? I don't know that you can. I think he's going to go before that. So, because I don't think the Steelers are going to take a tight end. Even if you trade Pat Freiermuth, I don't think you're taking a tight end in the 2nd round based on what the Steelers need. But who knows? So, CID says my problem is Muth is a legit good receiver. Yes, he is. He's a legit weapon that was completely wasted because Smith and Tomlin don't know their head from their ass. You don't have to tell me twice, bro. Just completely wasted last year. 50% of the snaps. Pat Freiermuth was on the field, on the offensive field, 50% of the snaps. That is crazy to me. 50%. You couldn't find a place for Pat Freiermuth. Get out of here. And I don't want to hear, well, Darnell Washington took a big step forward. He did. But that doesn't mean that Pat Freiermuth should have taken a step back. What are we doing? That's crazy. So, oh well. Paul Lee said, I'd like to hear your comments on the Steelers report card and why nobody has questioned him about this. I don't know why nobody's questioned him about it, but we talked about it last week about how Art Rooney II was pathetic, Paul Leo. So I appreciate you bringing that up because you're right. Yeah, we bashed Art Rooney II in basically a whole episode. What was it? Was it Thursday last week? I think it was Thursday of last week, talking about how there's only 5 stalls in the damn locker room and about how cheap he was, how he's treating family's bad, and this is all coming from the players. All of it's coming from the players, man. So yeah, we got on Art Rooney II last week, Paul. Appreciate you bringing that up. So yeah, we got on our main man last week. So Miss Christine says, Big B, what safeties you like in the draft? That room make me nervous. We have Elliott, and that's all. Well, we still have Ramsey. So you like, damn it, he's not going to be there at 21, though. I just, here's the thing at 21. The thing about it is, Torsia says you'll win another Super Bowl. You win another Super Bowl, you'll get another toilet, is what Art Rooney is telling people. That is about as wild of a take as I've seen. So that is absolutely, in Big G's word, that is diabolical, Torsia. That is wild. You win another Super Bowl, you'll get another toilet. Lord have mercy, people. What are we doing? But as far as the safeties go, I mean, look, the Steelers have a bunch of holes. They do. And, you can't take everybody, at 21. You can't, obviously. But what's the biggest priority? And that's how I always try to stack it up. What's the biggest priority? Like if the Steelers only had like 2 or 3 holes, and you had a luxury of taking a safety at 21, that would be fine. The Steelers don't have that luxury, because, again, in the pecking order of importance of a football team, obviously I put quarterback in a separate category because we all know that quarterback is most important. But then next, offensive line, wide receiver, pass rushers, including DNs and D tackles, corners, linebackers, and then safeties come after that. So it is far down the pecking order when it comes to the importance on your football team. That doesn't mean it's not important. It just means that for me, it's down there a ways. And if it's down there a ways, I think you got to wait because the Steelers have holes at those other positions. So I think you just got to wait. That's all. So, yeah, hopefully Vega or Lemon is. I don't think Lemon. Hey, have y'all seen what ESPN is trying to do to Mekhi Lemon? I don't know if you all saw it or not. Basically, they're trying to say that he gave a bad impression based on how he answered a question. And what they asked him was, who do you model your game after in the National Football League? And if you all haven't seen it, go look at it and then tell me if that's a bad impression. Like, he was very pointed. He looked like he was super focused. And all he said was, Amon-Ra St. Brown. He kind of scowled and until he was like very, very focused on his answer. I'm like, isn't that what you want? Don't you want a guy that's focused and determined? Like, he spoke well. He knew what he was saying. He wasn't stuttering over words. I'm like, what? I don't understand it. But apparently that was a bad impression. I'm like, you guys, just anything. But you're right. Yes, have him fall. Let him fall to 21. Perfect. We'll take him. Absolutely. Let him fall to us. So, yes, Mekhi Lemon, yes. He answered our execution like he was on that Thunderbird. He's perfect for. No, he didn't answer like he was on Thunderbird, man. No, he didn't. He just answered the question very pointed. He answered it like you want him to answer the questions. You wanted him to answer the question. So, and that's exactly what it is, B-Dot. That's exactly what it is. He didn't code switch. That's exactly what it is. So, Concepcion was nervous, but man, but Concepcion has a stuttering issue, and I commend him because he was out there. He didn't hide. He didn't try to fight it or shy away from it. The guy has a stuttering issue, man. There have been plenty of guys that had a stuttering issue that, you know what, once you get to a certain level, the more you do it, the better off you will be. So that's all. I, uh, yeah, I just Concepcion was fine to me. I thought he was fine. He was nervous, but he was fine. He'll get better. Hell, look at guys that stuttered throughout the career. Hell, Bill Walton. Bill Walton had a horrible stuttering problem. He became an announcer, announcing basketball games. I mean, so you can overcome that, man. The more that you get around people, the more comfortable that you get. You know, I was around somebody, Darren Sproles. Darren Sproles had a really bad stuttering problem. Didn't talk to the media much. You talk to Darren Sproles now, you'd never know it. You never know it. So, yeah, I don't. Anybody like that, and I commend him. So I commend him. So we'll see. I believe Carnell Tate will be available at 21st. Carnell Tate's not going to be available at 21, man. Well, he ran a 4.53. I don't care. I don't care. He's not going to be available at 21. So, because there's not going to be a run on enough positions to have him drop. Hell, until last week, he was going to be the first wide receiver taken. Now he's going to be the fifth? I don't think so. I don't think so. That's not going to happen. I hope. Don't get me wrong. I hope. So, but yeah, no. So he's going to be fine. Great route runner, great hands, fast enough. So you think we should trade up for Vega? If so, what would you give up to trade into the top 10? The answer is no. No, we're not trading up into the top 10. Steelers got too many needs. You'd have to give up a first-round pick this year, next year, probably a second or a third this year. It's not worth it. Steelers got too many needs for that. So, no, I wouldn't be doing that. I wouldn't do that. Let's move on, man. So while looking at cornerback, I should say, early is paramount for the Steelers. Look, I've said it since this channel started in April of 2024 that the Steelers have to address the cornerback situation. And they haven't done it since. They didn't do it in 2024. They didn't do it in 2025. And I'm like, are we ever going to address the problem? Like, are we ever going to stop putting a Band-Aid over something that requires surgery? Because that's what the Steelers have done. Bringing in old guy Patrick Peterson at 8,000 years old, can't play anymore. Darius Slay at 2,000 years old, can't play anymore. Just not address. The Steelers didn't even draft a corner last year. Didn't even do it. So, but this year, I think they kind of showed their hand with meeting with almost every top tier cornerback in the draft. The Steelers did that. So I think the Steelers are like, okay, just kind of like they showed their hand with wide receiver. They met with all the top flight receivers this year at the combine. They did the exact same thing with cornerback. And again, I'm thinking, okay, the Steelers are going to address this early and often, which they should. They absolutely should. There's no reason that they shouldn't. And that even includes if you bring back James Pierre, if you bring back Asante Samuel Jr., if you bring both of them back, the Steelers need to draft a corner. I don't care if you bring both of them back because, again, you're not going to sign both of those guys long term. You're not doing that. You're not. So get you a corner that you like, that can go out there and play, and that might be on your team for the next 8 years. That's what you need from Pittsburgh. You don't need to be messing around and, bringing back Pierre. And again, trusting Pierre to be the same guy this year, even though the previous 4 years or 3 years, he hadn't been that. Matter of fact, he was terrible as a corner. Well, last year it hit. Okay. Are we sure it's going to continue down that road? I don't know. I think first of all, the more corners, the better corners you got, the better you are. And I know we had Brandon Eccles. I understand all that. But you need somebody to solidify on the other side of JPJ. I think this is an opportunity to do that. And I think the Steelers are going to do it. And the reason being is I don't think they're going to bring back both Pierre and Samuel. I just don't think they're going to. And if they do, one of them is going to be on a 1-year deal. That's what I believe. If they bring back both, one of those guys is going to be on a 1-year deal. So you'll need another guy. And Eccles is only got a year left. So you need some guys. That's where I'm at with it. So Torsha says, do you think we take a DB round 1? No, I don't. No. But round 2, round 3, yeah, maybe even twice in round 3. Okay. So CID says Asante Samuel Jr. should definitely be an option. He's young and improving as long as he stays healthy. So, and they'll do that, I believe, because I don't think a lot of people are going to clear the medicals on Asante Samuel Jr. Even now, I don't think a lot of teams are comfortable with that. The Steelers were one that were, because, hell, the Steelers' doctor is the one who performed the surgery. So, yeah, he got the medical clearance from us because we did it. All right? Well, and still, I don't think a lot of teams are still comfortable with that. So we'll see. We will see. So they need scouting report highlights that urgent. So we just need a speed corner. We need a better guy. We need somebody to pair with Joey Porter Jr. We need another guy. So we'll see. Colton Hood is kind of as a day 2 favorite right now for the Pittsburgh Steelers, for a lot of people, not just the Steelers, but look for him on day 2. But we'll see. One name that got cut yesterday by the Washington Commanders, Marshawn Lattimore. I'm just going to tell you this. Absolutely not. Absolute. First of all, Marshawn Lattimore was with the Saints. They said, we can no longer use you because you're not good. He goes to Washington. He's hurt damn near the entire time, and he wasn't very good. If the Steelers bring in Marshawn Lattimore, they're not trying, people. They'll be doing the exact same thing that they have done for I don't know how long, putting a Band-Aid on something that needs some surgery. So, no. Hell no. No. Blitzburg likes Pons from Indiana. I think he can be a perfect nickel for a 2nd or 3rd round. I think you could probably get Pons in the 3rd round. I would love him. And you're right. He'd be a good nickel. He would be a very good nickel. Steelers could do that. Absolutely. And Rooster, you're right. That would be a Mike T thing to bring in Lattimore. You're exactly right. So, we'll see. Yeah. Everyone's saying the Steelers are going to get him. No. You're right, Miss Christine. No. Hell no to Marshawn Lattimore. Hell no. God. Oh. And that's the thing. It's like Lattimore can't play anymore at a high level. Here's my thing. If he could still play, why would they get rid of him? That's a position of need. You don't just get rid of positions of need. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe y'all are like, Big B, you're nuts. You have no idea what you're talking about, and maybe I don't. But I just know there's no way that they would be cutting him if he could still play. That's my point. First of all, he's always hurt. He only played 9 games last year. He's 29. I'm not saying he's over the hill. I'm just saying I don't think he can play anymore. I don't think he can play at that high of a level anymore. That's just me. So, yeah, Pons is small, but he can jump. He makes up for it. And Pons is a tackler. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Mike Hilton. Mike Hilton wasn't tall either. But Mike Hilton could jump. He could come off the corner and blitz. And he was a tackler. You remember Mike Hilton? I know everybody remembers Mike Hilton. He could tackle. And that's what you need, a guy that's going to play nickel, that's going to play the slot. You got to be a tackler. And Pons is that guy. Short, but physical. We'll take those guys. Torsia said 29 is 23 in Commander years. Maybe. Maybe. So, but we'll see. Yeah, I think they for sure got to do that. They got to get after the cornerback room. I don't think there's any reason. Again, man, appreciate you all being in here. If you want your comment question up on the screen, super chats are wide open. Members always get their comments, questions, or rants up on the screen. So if you want to become a member, you can do that too. Here's a good comment. I think they're counting on Ramsey in the slot. I do too. I think they're counting on Ramsey in the slot. I don't like it, though. I don't. I just don't like it. So, look, I like Jalen Ramsey, but I think I saw what I needed to see out of him last year. And maybe it was just a couple of times. I just know, look, it wasn't just the Bengals game that Ramsey looked bad. Remember the Ravens game. The Ravens game, he looked bad then too in man coverage. Couldn't cover lightly. Couldn't cover a guy. I don't even know who his name was. I don't even know who it was. Ran right by him for a touchdown. I just, to me, I like Ramsey at free safety, but that's just a ton of money. But it doesn't appear that the Steelers are going to get rid of Jalen Ramsey. They're going to pay him the money. I don't like it. I don't like it. But if he can play the slot, if he can do that, okay, we'll see. A lot of big nickel stuff. We'll see. We'll see. CID, I'm with you. Said Ramsey should make the permanent move to safety and take the pay cut. That's the only way I want him back. It's the only way I want him back, too. Doesn't mean that's what the Steelers are going to do, because it appears the Steelers are okay paying him, but that's the only way I want him back. Take the pay cut. Make him take the pay cut if you want to stay, and then you're going to play safety. But doesn't appear that is what we're doing. So we'll see. Everyone is forgetting we hired Patrick Graham. He maximizes talent and changes the defense to fit the players. He does. He definitely does that. And Lord knows the Pittsburgh Steelers need that. Lord knows we need a defensive mind that will actually maximize the talent and put guys where they're supposed to be and maximize their ability. He definitely does that. So you can't take that away from him. Just hasn't had as talented a guys. But my whole thing is, are the Steelers that talented on defense? Or was it all Terrell Austin and Mike Tomlin? And you know me, it's never one or the other. It's never just, it's all coaching or it's all players. It's never just one or the other. It's always a combination of both, but it can be more of one. The scheme, that basic scheme, man, I just can't get past it. I can't get past it. So I just can't get past how basic we were. Just can't get past it. But on the flip side to that, the players were also bad. They were bad. So, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I like the addition of Patrick Graham. I like his mind and see what it is. So, CID says it's all coaching. The players were picked by the coaches. Well, that's not true. So, coaches by them and failed under them. This can't be all coaching because, number one, you think the secondary coach was picking players? You think the linebacker coach was picking players? No, that's not true. So, that's not it. But it can be more coaching, but it's definitely not all coaching. It's not all coaching. So, because now you're saying, well, they failed under them. Well, why did they fail? Were they not any good? Because if they're not any good, then why would they be good with another coach? And there would be the difference. I think there's some ability. I just think the guys just weren't as good. So Mike Tomlin was picking players, but I don't think anybody else was picking players. So, for sure, CID. Yes, Mike Tomlin absolutely was picking players, but it wasn't all him. It can never be all of something. Just like anything in life, it's never all something when something goes wrong. It's never all coaching. I mean, if, for instance, if I'm covering a guy man to man and he beats me, that's coaching? No, no. It could be maybe I'm not in the right position because of coaching, but also my job is just to cover this guy and not let him get open. If he beats me, that's not on the player. Of course it is. So that's why I'm saying it can't all be coaching. So can't be. Can't be. Mm-mm-mm. What is this? You can't offer guys contract and then try and take their money back all the time and don't look professional. I don't even know what that means, Clayton. Like the NFL, the way the NFL is set up, if you don't have guaranteed money, I mean, I don't have to give you anything, you know? And by the way, the players negotiated that. So it is professional. It was done in a professional, system. It was done in a professional negotiation. If you want there to be guaranteed money, then okay. But yeah, you can take people's money back, and you're not taking it back. You're just not giving it to them. They know that. That's why players want a bunch of guaranteed money. So, mm-mm-mm. But that's where I'm at with it. KP Cole said scheme has to put talent in position to make plays. Absolutely. Austin and Tomlin was just the opposite, trying to have Queen and Wilson behind, out of position, nose guard, taking on O lineman, for the example, is not good. You're 100% correct. Didn't have a proper nose tackle. And because you didn't have a proper nose tackle, your inside linebackers couldn't do the things that they do well and had them guessing too many times. So you got to put guys in better position. Absolutely. But you also got to be able to make a play or two as a player, too. Got to look at it from that angle as well. Got to take it from that angle. So my question before we get off of this, has secondary become a bigger concern than wide receiver? I would say no. There's no bigger concern than wide receiver, people. I don't care what, unless you want to say quarterback. But again, I put quarterback in its own separate category. So leaving that aside, there's no bigger concern for the Pittsburgh Steelers. No bigger concern than wide receiver. No bigger concern. So that's where I'm at with it. That's where I'm at with it. Speaking of wide receiver, next up, the Steelers are not done with Roman Wilson. They're not. Despite his 2025 and what happened at the end of the year, I still can't explain it. I still can't explain it. I've got my reasonings for why they didn't even give him a helmet, much less put him on the bench. Didn't even give him a helmet. But they're not done with him. Omar Khan and they had basically come out and said, nope, they're excited about Roman Wilson. And maybe that's some pondering because they're trying to trade Roman Wilson. They want to try to get as much as they can for him. So they're going to talk him up a little bit and they're going to move on from him. I don't know. To me, I'm just not sure he got a fair chance. Now, I know there's some that don't think that Roman Wilson's a great route runner. He might not be, but he was pretty good. Let me backtrack. He was one of the better ones the Pittsburgh Steelers had last year. Now, whether he was pretty good or not, that's a different conversation. So, but we'll see. We'll see. Super chat here by Mason. Appreciate you, Mason. Said it's hard for me to evaluate this roster because of the poor schemes on both sides of the ball. Players can still make plays, but that being said, there's always going to be a ceiling if it's not reciprocal. Very true. You can still evaluate guys, though, specifically an offensive lineman. Can you block? Can you move a guy against his will? Can you keep a guy in front of you in pass protection? I don't care what the scheme is. Can you do those two things? Quarterback, can you read a defense? Can you get the ball out on time? Can you do those things? Can you be accurate? Running back, can you see a hole if it's there? Now, don't get me wrong, wasn't always there, but if it is, can you hit it? Can you see it? You can still evaluate. It may not be to the best of our ability, but you can still evaluate guys and can you do this? Hey, we're in man coverage. Your job is to cover him. Can you cover him? That doesn't have anything to do with scheme. That's just we're in man. Guys lined up across from you. Your job is to keep him from getting open. Did you do it? You can do that. You can do that. As far as Roman Wilson is concerned, can you get open on time? And I think that's part of the problem with Roman Wilson is that while he may have gotten open, a lot of times it was late. Well, late doesn't help you. Late doesn't help your quarterback. Get open when you're supposed to get open. And that's a different situation. That's a different conversation. So I'm just not sure he's gotten a fair chance. But he did get a chance. I'm just not sure that he got a fair chance. This is a great statement, Mike in Texas. Roman was in the Tomlin doghouse rookie year because of his injuries, then ended up in Driftwood's doghouse last season. Word is he has problems with the route tree. And yes, has problems with the route tree. We're going to see. We're going to see. I think that's kind of what it is. We'll see. All I know is that we didn't see Roman Wilson. What was it? The last 5 games of the year, he didn't even get a helmet? Or he got one. The first game that DK Metcalf was suspended, he got a helmet, but he didn't play. He didn't play any offensive snaps. So I'm like, man, what happened? So KTB, never apologize for being late, brother. You are just fine. We appreciate you being here, man. So Blitzberg says, we know it was A-Rod. He didn't want to wait to build that chemistry the right way with him and Arthur Smith and Tomlin. Went right along with it. You can't tell Roman wouldn't have helped us down the stretch. My thing is, I think he could have. You're not going to convince me that Roman Wilson wasn't quicker, faster than Adam Thielen. You're not going to convince me of that in any way, shape, or form, people. Now, you could say Thielen may have had better hands, understood coverages better. I'll give you all that. But you're not going to convince me that Adam Thielen was faster, quicker than Roman Wilson. Yeah, I don't know if he was ever that, but damn sure not last year. So, he got in the doghouse. Then he gets out of it. But remember, he got back in the doghouse after that boneheaded play against Indianapolis. Remember where he turned into Superman and tried to jump over a guy late in the game and then fumbled? And then the Colts basically got back into the game because of that. There's that. So, I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, Omar Khan is confident in him. But is that just posturing because instead of a 6th-round pick, he wants to try to get a 5th-round pick for Roman Wilson? Maybe. Or maybe it's because here's the thing that I know. With what he does or what he supposedly did coming out of college, it would fit Mike McCarthy's system. But we'll see. We'll see. So, but either way, they could love Roman Wilson. I still don't think the Steelers don't walk away with at least 3 guys from free agency and the draft combined. You got to walk away with at least that. At least. So I made a comment the other day about Alec Pierce, the Colts GM, saying that he's not going anywhere. We're going to find out by 4 o'clock today because that's the day of franchise. That's the day that you can be the time period to franchise a player. So by 4 p.m. today, we'll know if Alec Pierce gets franchised or not. And if he doesn't, somebody could throw a crazy amount of money at him, and he might say to the Colts, Dad, sorry, I'm out of here. Or the Colts could just say, nope, you're not going nowhere. We want to get a deal done. We just need a little time, and we're going to lock you up right now. Either way, we'll see. Sneak says, how does Roman get in the doghouse so much? And there's plenty of other players that screw up every Sunday and never get sat down. That's a good question. That's a good question. Sometimes first impressions are rule the day. You know what I'm saying? And the first impression that Mike Tomlin and that coaching staff got of Roman Wilson was that he was hurt. And he got hurt again. It's one thing to get your ankle rolled on and then you come back, but then there were reports, and who knows if this is true, that he didn't know the playbook, all that kind of stuff. But you heard Mike Tomlin when they asked him about him. He asked him about him in 2024. He just said the train is moving on without him. And I'm like, damn, okay. Tell us how you really feel, Mike. And he had no patience for Roman Wilson. So we'll see. We will see. But I don't know. Torsia says how they react to the mistakes could have something to do with it, but I don't know. That's all speculation. It is. We don't know for sure. We think we have our thoughts, but I don't know. I just think that it was an Aaron Rodgers type of thing, and Aaron Rodgers suddenly said some stuff out loud. First off, he challenged. Remember in the preseason when he challenged Roman Wilson to just go out there and play football and stop trying to please him? Roman Wilson got better, people. He got better from that day until he had gotten better. And then it was like he made that big mistake. And once he made that mistake, it was all downhill from there. So I don't know. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But like I said, they could love him, but I still think you walk away with at least 3 guys. The minimum. That's the minimum that the Steelers would have. The minimum of new guys. So Clayton says, hey, do you think we should keep Calvin Austin as your 6 or 7 wide receiver because he's good on special teams? He doesn't fumble the ball. I think his stats did. No. Nope. Because here's the thing with Calvin. First off, you don't need a 6th or 7th wide receiver on a football team. But having said all of that, you're not going to pay a 6th or 7th wide receiver the kind of money that he's going to get. And I'm not saying he's going to go get a ton of money, but you ain't paying no 6th or 7th wide receiver. Even if you had a 6th, $5 million a year. That guy ain't getting $5 million a year. That guy's a league minimum guy. So, Calvin Austin is better than that, by the way. So it just won't be with the Steelers. And I don't think they're going to bring him back. I don't think they're going to bring him back. I think the Steelers can do better. And that's not a knock on Calvin Austin. I'm not saying he's a bad football player. I just think the Steelers can do better. And I also think the Steelers are going to try to do better. Now, worst comes to worst, you get past the first 2 waves of free agency and you don't get everything that you need. And then the draft comes and you don't get everything that you need. Maybe you do look at a Calvin Austin if he's still around. But Calvin Austin won't be around till the draft. He might be around till the 2nd or 3rd weekend of third waves of free agency. And maybe you pick him up and you sign him then. But I think he's better than that. I think than the 3rd wave. I think he's better than that. Somebody will want to bring him onto their team. I just think the Steelers can upgrade. It's not that I think Calvin Austin is bad, because I don't. And again, another guy underutilized in the system. Another guy that you could have said, is there a reason we don't run crossing routes with this guy, shallow crosses? Is there a reason we don't run deep crossers with this guy and throw him the football. You know, it's funny that when we needed a play against the Ravens to win a game, little stutter and go, who did they go to? It's amazing if you just put guys in position to excel at what they can really do. Steelers just didn't do that enough, man. Well, what's going on, Ty Hardy? Appreciate you, my man. Grim Mendoza, we should be able to make something work with the 12 draft picks. Yes, we should. I'm starting to change my mind, people. I'm starting to change my mind on the 12 draft picks. I'm starting to change my mind. Let me get to that here in just a second. We have got a guest. Thank you. First of all, Meat Whip. Okay. You know, I appreciate the love, man. Only wanted to say hi, Mr. Big B. Love your content. Greetings from Germany. I appreciate you, man, but I'm going to have to come up with a different name for you because I can't call you Meat Whip, man. I can't. Miss Christine is salivating. I can't call you Meat Whip. I can't. I'm not going to be able to do it. I love you. Appreciate the support, but imagine Meat Whip on the big show tonight, people. What? I mean, we wouldn't even be able to have a show. We wouldn't even be able to have a show. I mean, the entire show, none of y'all would be paying attention to anything me and Big G would say. We would not even be able to have a show. Lord have mercy. Oh, man. Oh, goodness gracious. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. We wouldn't even be able to have a show. We wouldn't even be able to have a show. Well, we love you, man. Appreciate you from Germany, brother. Thank you very, very much. So, Heck said there's going to be receivers available like Bryce Lance, Josh Cameron, and Sean Stribling and Skylar Bell. Yes, there is. The Steelers are – everybody just thinks receiver round one. Round 3 and 4, there are going to be wide receivers that are going to be contributors on the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2026. I'm just telling you that right now. There are going to be guys that the Steelers draft in round 3 and 4 at the wide receiver position that are going to be available that are going to be solid contributors on the 2026 team. So, hey, y'all got to stop, man. I see you all over there. Y'all got to stop. I got to stop. Y'all got to stop. Lord have mercy. Oh, Jesus. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. So, and that is a good thing. Did you see the game last year, Mr. Meat Whip, in Germany? Well, we played in Dublin. So, did you see that game? Yeah. I do too, man. I do too. Yeah, there's a lot of depth this year, Rooster, in the draft. A lot of wide receiver depth. So, a lot of wide receiver depth. And so, don't get discouraged. Like, yeah, if the Steelers go a different route in round 1, I just wouldn't be discouraged. I don't think they're gonna, but just don't be discouraged. There's a lot of people, that are out there. A lot of people out there. So, B. Wayne says, my boy VJ Payne at safety from K-State won't be a good draft. Are you saying, first of all, I guess I'm asking Mr. B. Are you saying that VJ Payne won't be a good draft pick? Maybe clarify that. And that's wild to say that about your boy, if that's what you're saying. I don't know that you are. So, but I got my own thoughts on VJ Payne. So, because I saw a lot of them. So, Grim says, apparently, this is a deep wide receiver draft class, but should be the first priority. I agree. It has to be. Well, take that back. It doesn't have to be, but I think it needs to be. It needs to be. Yeah, I saw that the Steelers, ESPN having the Steelers take the Toledo safety at round 1. Just a lot of chatter out there. Just a lot of chatter. There's no way. I shouldn't say there's no way. There's always a way, but the Steelers can't be taking no safety at round 1, man. No. Not with the holes that they got. So, not with the holes that they got. So, but we'll see. So you're saying he would be, meant he'd be a great draft. Later, is the thing about VJ Payne, he's a great athlete. But we'll see. He's not a great tackler. I know that. But he is a great athlete. But later in the draft, maybe late 5th to 7th. Okay, but we don't have a 5th round pick. So 6th or 7th, okay. I can see that. So the Rooster, the depth at linebacker is really good too. This is going to be a good draft. People don't think that it is because there's not 500 quarterbacks that are first round worthy. So if you don't have that, then the perception is, well, it's not a good draft. That's not true. That's not true at all. The difference is that there's other positions where there's a lot of players that you can go get. So don't get caught up in media buzz, if anybody is, saying, well, this isn't a very good draft. It's a super deep draft. It just doesn't have quarterbacks at the top of the food chain, which, okay, I'm with it. You don't have to put, just because he's a quarterback, doesn't mean you got to put the guy up there. It doesn't mean that. There's a lot of good football players in this draft. A lot of them. So, a lot of them. Well, that's what I got for you guys today, man. I appreciate it. Remember, tonight, big show. Me and Big G will be getting at it on the big show. Should be a fun show. I'm done with you people in the chat, though, by the way. You guys, I can't with you. I can't with you. That's all I'm going to say. I can't with you. Tonight should be a great show. It's going to be another good one, man. You guys I love each and every one of you. I love each and every one. Uh-oh. Finally caught alive. We appreciate you. Is it Jizzled? Jizzled the man? I don't know about that one either. We appreciate you being here, though, brother. Miss Christine, you're going to have to check that name out, too. You have to check that one out, too. Appreciate you joining the live, man. So, yeah, no need to panic early in any of these. No need to panic. The Steelers got a lot of draft picks. And like I said, I am changing my thoughts, I think, on the draft picks. Before I said that Omar should be fired if he took all 12 draft picks. Maybe not. I don't know. Uh-oh. Grim, see? Grim, you're trying to get us canceled, aren't you? Talking about meat stick merch? What are we doing? Goodbye, people. Goodbye. I'm not going down this road with you people. I'm not doing it. I will see y'all tonight on the big show, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Until next time, people, aloha.